Tube. There we go. It is May 25th, Thursday. We have news dropping in about 3 minutes. So we're on the charts, but let's get back to our usual. Start on Forex Factory. News for the day, we have GDP numbers for USD and unemployment claims. And then home sales at 7. We have some Japanese news at 4:30, and finally some British pound retail sales tonight. And then tomorrow we have core PCE, core durable goods, and the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. So some pretty big USD news coming up over the next, minute and a half, and then throughout tomorrow. But let's not waste any time. Let's get into the charts. Let's get into our previous trades. So the only trade we are in right now is this EURGBP trade. This trade was taken, I think, after the stream yesterday. Got in right around this level at 6:30. Could have been during the stream, to be honest. Can't remember. Anyways, stop set above these previous highs at 24 pips. Profit was set at 2R at 48 pips down here. As we can see, price is reaching into this level of support down here, but I do think price can break below. If we check out the hourly, price was in this large sort of descending triangle here, broke down below it, entered into this shorter time frame descending triangle, and now we are looking for a opportunity. We're sort of looking based on those double analysis for a sell. And then let's get into the myriad of losses. CADCHF was a loss. Looking at a trendline breakout, and then this so we were in this previous ascending channel. Price had broken out, turned into this sort of descending wedge. As price was coming up, got into a sell right around here at 13568 or something like that. Price had ended up rejecting just at like 177 or 153,777. And as price was coming down, I'm like, this is looking great, and then it didn't. It just continued higher, and we got stopped out at 1541, which means we also got stopped out on the USDJPY trade that we were in. So ended up getting into a trade in JPY 138 over here. Had the stop set at originally 1387, moved it up to 139 for a little bit of wiggle room. Price came back down on news, and then has continued up ever since. This second entry is a hypothetical one. It's not one I've actually taken. It was more of like a what if I had gotten in at the high of this trend line instead of right down here. So if we pay attention to previous price data, we had this high here, here, and here. And we're looking, what if we got into a sell here? Looks like we would have got stopped out either way. So there's that guy. Let's see. We gotta check out the trading journal really quick. Looks like the news has dropped. Not sure what that means for us today. There we go. Right, the other 3 trades are related to the New Zealand interest rate decision. So EURNZD, we had this loss here. Prices continued up higher. I think it was GBPAUD. No, not GBPAUD. EURAUD had a sell here. Didn't work out. Prices continued higher. And AUDNZD, similar thing, had a sell down here on this wedge. Price shot up and continued higher. Alright, so So those are the review of the trades for the last couple days. The signals and premium stats on the record do not display that. I've got to add a few more losses in. EURGBP is the only one that we are in now, and let's get into the analysis. So let's start on AUDCAD. Again, I reviewed 28 pairs, so 28 Forex pairs, all related to the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, the Swiss franc, the yen, the New Zealand dollar, the US dollar, and then I go through US 30, US 100, US 500, as well as gold. So 28 Forex pairs, as well as 3 indices and 1 precious metal. And I review everything on the hourly and 5 minutes. If you got any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. Let's get into it. Right. Okay. So AUDCAD, we are obviously on this descending bearish price action movement here. We have an additional sort of trend line here. We have this previous level of support down here. Not much I can see on the hourly. 5 minute, we have this continued lower low sort of price action, lower low, lower high price action. Lots of sort of up down movements. I can't say there could be an opportunity to easily just go for a sell on any sort of pullback, say like up here, so like what had just happened, or if price were to pull back, good opportunity for a sell. I'm not going to take that, just because I generally like price action to be a bit more than just a single squiggle line down. I like there to be a bit more movement to it. So we are going to avoid AUDCAD today. AUDCHF, possibly quite similar, not much on the hourly. On the 5 minute here, similar to AUDCAD, we just sort of have this lower time frame bearish price action, a bit more squiggly. Not many patterns are forming up here. We had this descending wedge pattern that got broken down, and so we are not looking to trade it just yet. Let's look at the higher time frame on AUDJPY. We have this bit of a triple top here. So we have previous high, previous high, previous high, breaking down below. We were thinking of getting into a sell. Oh, that's disappointing. I'm relatively sure I had a sell on this guy at 9125, maybe. I'll have to check. Let's see. Give me a sec. Let's see if I actually had it. I thought I did. Oh. We're gonna go a little meta right now. This is the first time I've done this. I've never checked out my own videos live. You're gonna have to bear with me here. Live yesterday, 24th. let's see. I think those are reviewed trades. So this is just the review. This is, oh, there we go. We're starting to get into it. AUDCAD, AUDCHF. There we go. Yeah. There we go. There was a sell stop at 0.25. Okay, so I did have the right idea. I just didn't end up sticking with it. That's all good. That happens. I think as price rejected down here, I decided to remove the sell stop. And I think it was because I was already into the CADCHF trade. I didn't feel the need to have both of them going. But anyways, 5 minutes. He's broken out of this trend line. Sideways price action. Not much to say here. We're going to move right along. AUDNZD. Big move up from the from the interest rate decision. Continued increase in price action. Not looking at anything in particular, like nothing's catching my eye for about how I might want to trade this, so we're probably just gonna leave it, let it do its thing for a little bit. Let's see, what do the numbers come out? Everything came out good for USD. GDP was better, unemployment was lower, price index was higher. Cool. So you never know, that could mean good for the US. I know green typically means good, but that's not always the case, so we'll see. AUDU, yeah. A nice breakout below this level. Probably not anticipating doing anything until price comes back up to this level of previous support turn potential resistance. Could be a good opportunity for getting into a sell, but until then we are out. Even on the 5 minute, I don't anticipate there's going to be much there. CADCHF. CADCHF, but just a bunch of sideways price action. We have these higher lows, we have these lower highs. Not much clear direction for going up or down. Maybe once we start to break out of either of these ranges, we might start to see something, but until then we're just monitoring. CADJPY, something pretty similar. We have these previous tops here. We do have couple trend lines suggesting higher price action. Don't mind all the trend lines. If we get a break above and as it comes back down, we could look to get into a buy. So we're talking something like that. We might look to get into the buy right here. But that's still a ways away. 5 minute. Something similar. we have this ascending channel. Could even look to get into a short-term sell as price comes up into these levels. We could possibly look for a bit of a pullback right here. Play it nice and cool. Aim for can't say I'd be super excited about this move if that were to happen. Maybe something up here, getting it at 9, aiming for a 2-to-1 with 30 pip take profit. We're not in it, we don't have a limit order, but it's just an idea. We're gonna pop that onto our watch list for later, maybe set a price alerts, and we're off to the races. These previous rejections, this sort of time trend line, upper trend line, is sort of a reversal strategy for me. So didn't work too well in USDJPY, but worked pretty well on GBPUSD. So we are just monitoring. This is the CADCHF trade. Price broke out, found support here, has continued higher. Again, we have these multiple highs here. Not much on the lower time frame. Higher time frame. Not much I'm seeing here either. Look at Euro AUD. He has broken well above these levels, broken out of this trend line. He's sort of creating possibly some sort of bullish flag for continued price action. But bullish flags are not the pattern I trade. Not something I'm very much used to. Just saying that is potential that it could be breaking out. If you do trade bullish flags or flags in general, you could look for some sort of opportunity like that. Get in on the buy here. Put your stops down here, target whatever you want, but that's not really the strategy that I have, the one I have tested, the one I have data on. So I am not getting into this trade. Moving right along. EURCAD. Okay, kind of interesting. Broke through this previous level of resistance on the way down, had another rejection, broke down here, had multiple rejections, and it looks like it's continuing lower. Might continue lower to like this 1.1424 level. The only issue is we are not seeing very good price action isn't nice enough to possibly add some trend lines to it. Like I could draw a trend line from here to here, but it just feels like I'm connecting 2 points. I'm not seeing, it doesn't look like a real trend, if you know what I mean. It's a line that connects 2 points, but is it really a trend line? Any line could be a trend line, but not every trend line is just any old line. That makes no sense. Anywho, this is the Euro CHF trade that we were hoping to get into. We have this nice descending channel. We are hoping to get into a sell up high at 976, mainly because we wanted to keep our stop loss a bit tighter. So I think we originally did have it down here, but it just felt like the stop loss just didn't go high enough above the trend line, because you know you can always have those price actions that just whip above and then come back down. So we wanted the stop a little higher. Price ended up reaching this lower level, and then has started to reject down. Some people might say something like, oh well, why don't you just enter at a smaller lot size down here and again up here. I'm not a huge fan of getting into multiple positions. I don't like exiting multiple positions as you go into profit. I don't like entering multiple positions as it starts to move in your favor. Who knows, that might change over the next few years as I stay in the game long enough. Partly because it just decreases your maximum potential profit. So like if I'm taking entries here and then here and then here, and let's just say it bounces off this trend line and starts to come down, I could technically have like much wider profit targets too to compensate for that. But if I kept my profit targets a lot tighter, then I'm just limiting myself on my max profit. And there's always new other trades in the market. Like just because I missed this trade, and let's just say it continues down and hits this take profit, or even continues down and hits this take profit, man, I'm watching, geez, can't do simple math, 32 pairs. So I'm watching 28 Forex pairs and then 3 indices and gold. Like there's always going to be something happening in the market. So we are going to move this, remove these lines, unflag. Let's continue on. EUROJPY. Interesting price movement. Price has bounced off this level support a couple times. It's failed to make a new high, so doesn't give me the most confidence to get into a buy here. We're priced to come back down. Check out the 5-minute. I don't know. In one aspect, it failed to make a new high, which is not good. But in another aspect, it continues to be bought up whenever price drops to the 1494 level, which suggests price will be continuing higher. Something we will think about for later. If price can make a new high and come back down, I'd be more inclined to go for a long here. Okay, moving right along. EURG. This is the trade I'm already in. Got in a sell here at 0.87. Stops above these highs. Not hoping, Jesus. That's the antithesis of the point of the channel name. Hope is not a strategy, which is why this is Hopeless Forex. We don't trade with hope in this channel. We trade with logic and data and systems. Anyways, the idea is price to reject and continue on down to this level. I think the take profit's somewhere down here. Let's move right along. EURNZD. Huge price movement. It's insane. He's gone up. Man, if you nailed the buy and you haven't sold yet, you're up 4,400 pips. 4,400? Sorry, 440 pips. That's a pretty good move. Anyways, not much I saw in EURNZD. EUROUSD. This is a nice continual trend down. Looks like we'll be hitting this level here at some point. 106.7 or 10. Roughly 1.07. Nice trend down. Could almost say it's a bit of a channel down, channel or wedge. Not any clear points of reversals that we'd be keen on getting into. If price were to reject and come back up, I could probably get into a sell up here at somewhere close to like 108, probably a little lower. Let's see, what would be our ideal? Maybe something like this. Price. We'd probably want stops be just a smidge higher. Yeah. We had this previous rejection here, here, here. Previous support here. Previous rejections here. So it is a significant value. It's still within the trend, the descending channel. And that's just assuming price doesn't come down and then come back up. Even then, it just depends on how this price meanders. If price just kind of goes meander sideways, then we'd want to get into a we'd scrap this idea. But for now, we're gonna move right along. I don't expect to see anything on the 5-minute. Yeah, it's just more or less the same. GBPAUD, lots of bullish movement. I think you have this huge bullish movement, some sideways price action. Price was trending down along this line, has broken out and has continued significantly higher. Not much I see on the hourly right now. It's a little bit too bullish to buy into, so we'll wait for a pullback. But I don't see any clear levels, don't see any places I can draw some nice looking trend lines and then match them to any support resistance levels. So we are gonna move right along. GBPCAD here. Rejections at this. I think we need the 15-minute chart to show this properly. But yeah, we had these previous lows here turned into these previous highs. We have these lows here, so we're trading in a bit of a range similar to EURGBP. It broke out of a range and formed a new one. On the hourly, we have price in this ascending channel, suggesting we're looking for buys. I'm not fully convinced that price is broken out of the channel and is starting to go back down again. So we'll just continue to monitor. Price action isn't looking like it's giving us much here, so we'll move on to the next one. GBPCHF, similarly, we have this huge descending channel on the 1 hour that's back since October of 22. However, in the more recent time frame, we also had this bit of an ascending channel here, and price has broken out. Let's see if we can draw some trend lines. So we have these two tops, these two bottoms. Can't say I'm particularly looking for a buy or sell either way. Not much on the higher time frame. On the lower time frame, pretty similar. Not seeing much here. If price does go up to a quadruple top here, we could possibly get into a sell at this level. Somewhere right here, placing the stops above. But for now, we are just going to move right along. GJ, good old GJ. Looks like he's trading within this range, is looking to possibly break out of this range. We've got higher lows here, equal highs roughly here. could break out, retest, and go up a little higher. Possibly an entry on the 5-minute if he does. We're expecting something like that. Could be a good buy along this previous level of resistance if it turns into a nice level of support. On the hourly, we're definitely in an upward trend. Price is just struggling to break out here. But yeah, that could be a later in the day sort of trend, maybe even later. So it could be later this morning, not likely, but maybe later in the afternoon, maybe like after the New York session into the Asian session. If he breaks out, he could be an opportunity for a buy. GBPNZD is continuing higher on the 5-minute, higher on the 1 hour. Looks like he's reaching this previous top. Not much here. Let's see. Yeah. Lots of resistance here at the 2.05 level. I remember getting into this trade back here. No, sorry, I think I got into the trade back down here, rode it all the way up, and then had it come back down. So just looking at GBPNZD on the daily, we can see prices slowly approaching this 205 resistance level. Not looking for any sells just yet. Would like to see how price reacts once we get into this 205 level and possibly look for some sells on the downside. But that's still a couple days away. So let's just move right along. Let's get onto GBPUSD. Nice continual trend down. Has bounced off this level of support. Can't say we're looking for too much here either. Not until we break out of this support. So we need to either come up, get into a nice sell at this higher level and try to ride the wave down, or wait for this to happen and get in on the sell just down here. So this could take a while. I mean, even if it's drawn out like this won't happen for another 4 days. So this could be an opportunity on the hourly, is waiting for this sort of break and retest to continue lower towards possibly the 1.22 levels. Not much else here. If we go to the 5-minute, similarly, we've got a bit of a wedge pattern forming here. Price looks, well, if we look at the other USD pairs, I would say USD is doing quite well just based off the GDP news that just dropped. So AUDU is down, EURU is down, GU is down. All the other USD pairs, UCAD, USDCHF, and USDJPY are all up, but they're not by huge percentages. They're all up by like 0.1 to 0.2%. So in actuality, we could be looking for a possible buy here for a trend retracement. We're at this key level of support. We're at this trend line level of support. It's a little bit riskier because it's definitely against the trend. Let's see, let's just monitor it. Maybe get into a sell down here. AUDNZD, absolutely. I am staying away from AUDNZD right now. I think he's just not much pattern formation that I can see. So let's get into the auto. Hourly, we have these multiple tops here that AUDNZD is still about 150 pips away from, so not anywhere near soon. He's still rallying off of the interest rate decision. So I ended up taking a losing trade down here on AUDNZD. Let's go back, review these guys. So I was getting a sell down here. Price was sort of meandering sideways, ended up hitting the rate decision, has skyrocketed since, and is continuing higher and higher. I don't know if there's necessarily any sort of pattern formation that's forming right now. I think a lot of it's just a sympathy play just off the interest rate decision. I do think price can reject here, but I wouldn't get into a sell. My sells and my buys are typically based along trend line and support resistance levels. If I can't draw a trend line close to it, then I'm not getting into the sell. And as you can see, we have broken clearly out of this trend line and price is continuing higher. And this would not make a very good trend line, would it? Me just trying to connect some levels here. This trend line is almost vertical. It's kind of a farce of a trend line. So I think any sort of NZD pair, I'm just going to let settle for a little while. AUDNZD, EURONZD, let them settle. GBPNZD, let them settle. NZDCAD, similarly, let them settle. Could possibly look to get into a reversal buy down here at the bottom of the trend line, but nothing in particular. NZDCHF, not looking at anything. Nice break of the trend line, but no pattern setup, just a lot of very large price action movement. And you generally don't want to you want to be in the trade when the price action movement happens. You don't want to be trying to enter after these large price action swings. It's just too hard to predict whether somebody is going to, you know, some big bank or some big hedge fund is just going to reverse the price action. GBPCAD. All right. Yeah, I think there's an opportunity for sell. So we're obviously in this ascending trend line, or sorry, ascending channel. We were previously on the smaller time frame, such as the 5-minute. We were previously in this bit of a sideways price action here. Price has since broken down into this sideways price action here. It's kind of meandering sideways on the lower time frames, not much. There could be an opportunity for a scalp sell where price to come up here. We do have these two previous resistance levels, as well as this modest selection of support. So we do have a bit of a support turned resistance. We do have this lower end of the trend line down here that could act as a bit of a resistance. I know it hasn't. Price has kind of gone above it once, gone above it twice. It could go above it a third time, and we could look to get into a sell, sort of placing the stop about halfway through. But this might not happen for another couple days. If this does happen, especially on the hourly, we can see prices just kind of meandering sideways. There won't be big GBP news until 11 o'clock tonight. So even then, it's a medium folder, it's orange. That could technically drive price up or down, but in the short term, in the very immediate term, we're not looking for much. I wouldn't go for I'd be more inclined for a sell if price were to go up. If price were to go down, I would be looking for a buy down here, just because there's not much other confluence that this is a good support. Like I get it, it's bounced 3 times at this level, but if we look to the left, there's not a whole lot of structure here that supports it. Whereas if we look to the left up here, we have this previous resistance, we have this previous level of support, and then we have these previous points of resistance. There's a lot more structure here that supports a sell than a structure here that supports a buy. So that's sort of my analysis on GBPCAD. Let's see. GBPCHF, I think we've already gone through this guy. GJ we've gone through. GN, not touching it, not touching any NZD pairs for the meantime. GBPUSD could be looking for a reversal buy down here. Haven't set any limit orders or anything, but we do have this sort of descending trend line as well as this level of structure of support here. Could be an opportunity for a bounce into price going back up towards these highs. But it's a bit risky because we still definitely have USD news that's coming out that could drive price lower. Could drive it either way, could drive it higher, could drive it lower. And going into the NZD pairs, again, not going to touch these guys. Maybe get into this guy when he drives down here. If he continues to drive at the rate he's driving, that's a lot of price action, or that's a lot of price movement very quickly. So we could be expecting a pullback at some point. My only worry about getting into this is there's no clear market structure to the left that would suggest it's a good support level. So we'd be getting into this trade purely off the confluence of the trend might get exhausted and we're at this lower end of this trend line, which is 2 confluences. It's not the most, it's not the strongest amount of confluence. Anyways, let's move right along. NZDCHF, nice little breakout from this pennant formation, is continuing lower. Not looking to get into a buy, not looking to get into a sell. Could be looking to get into a buy if price retraces. We could look to get in, could look to get into a sell if price retraces up to that point. NZDJPY, not looking to get into a buy or sell here either. Actually, yeah, this previous level of resistance, wish I could draw some price action that sort of match trying to get into it, because in a sense he is making higher highs and higher lows, so you'd want to look for a buy here. He's got this higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher high. All good indicators for price action to move up, but he's just, I mean, every NZD pair is just so weak right now. It's tough to get into a position either for or against it. You don't want to get into a sell against the NZD pairs because you never know, price could just quickly bounce back, and you don't want to get into, you don't want to get into you don't want to get into a sell because you don't know if price is exhausted and is just going to bounce back, but you don't want to get into a buy because you also don't know that people aren't still funneling their sells into it. NZDUSD, nice little break to the downside here. Again, not much I'm looking for. Let's get into the last American pairs. USDCAD is breaking out of this trend line, is continuing up on this trend line. This is a good opportunity for a buy depending on how price action looks. So the only worry is that there's lots of resistance between 1.365 and 1.37. What I mean is we're continuing higher here. If we continue a little higher, we bounce back here into this level of resistance trend support with some trend line support. We could continue higher. Again, the only worry is all of this level of resistance. So we'd put our buy down here. We'd have it nice and close. So we could target a 2-to-1 if we have a nice close stop loss that barely enters into this resistance level. But if we wanted to aim for higher price targets like a 3 or a 4-to-1, That's on the expectation price is going to break above these levels, which is it's a tough buy. But either way, this is a good opportunity, I think. Price is breaking out, so depending on how price action moves, we could be looking to get into a buy here at roughly 1355. So he's going on the watch list. We are adding a little alert. There we go. And we have our rough idea. No limit orders placed yet, but we have a rough idea of what we're going to try to target here. Okay, USDCHF. Pretty similar. We were in this descending price action. We're in this ascending channel. This previous level of resistance here has turned into support just once. If price continues higher, we could look to get into a buy here if price were to pull back. Have price below here, target 2 to 1. Gonna add an alert. And move on to the next pair. Again, that probably won't happen for a couple days. USDJPY, already got burned on this. If you didn't watch the start of the stream, I had a sell at 138 and hit my stop loss. So I was hoping for a reversal at this level of resistance. Had a couple trend line support confluence, and yeah, ended up hitting my stop. So we are trying to stay out. I still think that when he does come down, eventually there is a lot of movement to the downside, you know, and he will eventually start to come down, but when that happens, I'm not sure. So we will wait. We'll wait in the wings, see if there's any sort of break and retest or head and shoulder pattern that we can enter. That might not happen till next week. Let's go into our indices. US 30. We have this descending channel. Break below the descending channel into this trend line. We could be looking for a sell as price comes back up. But I want to make that comparison with the other two charts. See, the fact that US 100 is going up and the fact that US 500 is bouncing off this level of support. I generally like to trade all three charts in confluence, so I like to make sure that they're all going similar directions. I feel like it's a stronger signal. So the fact that he's breaking out in this ascending wedge and he's continuing higher, US 500 is bouncing off this support, and only US 30 is continuing on this lower trend. Doesn't give me much confluence that a sell on US 30 is a good idea. And last but not least, golds. I think when price was meandering here, we were thinking about getting into a sell roughly at this point. But now that price action is continuing lower and there's not much pattern formation here, we're just going to skip out and we're just going to ignore gold for a little while. If price were to shoot up, we could look for a sell around 2000. It's a big psychological level. It's at this previous level of structure. We have multiple levels of resistance, multiple levels of support. We do have this trend line support as well. So lots of confluencing factors to get into a sell, but that's for another day. Anyways, that's it for today. In review, this is the only trade we're in right now. We took this EURGBP trade yesterday at 6. Price is bouncing off this support. We are holding on to the trade. We got into the sell at 0.87. Price moved about 10 pips against us. Stop was 24 pips above these previous highs. and the goal is a 2-hour trade, so we're aiming for 48 pips. That's the only trade we're in right now. The only trades we're anticipating, this CADJPY trade, we were thinking of possibly getting into a sell. EUROUSD, this trade is a long ways away from happening, maybe a day or two. We're looking to get into a sell here on this descending trend line. USDCAD, possibly a buy here, and USDCHF, a buy even lower. So the USDCAD, USDCHF, and EUROUSD are all correlated. So take from that what you will, whether you want to spread your risk among them or risk full size on each. If one works out, they'll probably all work out. If one doesn't work out, none of them might work out. And that's it for today. Thank you for joining. Appreciate the question, Static, in return. I'm gonna sign off, but I'll be on again tomorrow. So cheers.